Welcome back to my belated annual Oscar series wherein I talk about all the categories except for the short film ones. I rank all the nominees in each category according to who I think deserves to win the Oscar. Then I make a prediction as to who I think will win that Oscar. But of course right now I'm going to be talking about the categories from last year since I didn't get to do it then. So to continue with the major awards, let's talk about Best Documentary Feature. So the nominees are Amy, Asif Kapadia and James Gay-Rees, Cartel Land, Matthew Heineman and Tom Yellin, The Look of Silence, Joshua Oppenheimer and Sin Burge Sorensen, What Happened, Miss Simone, Liz Garbus, Amy Hobby and Justin Wilkes, and Winter on Fire, Ukraine's Fight for Freedom, Evgeny Efenivsky and Den Tolmor. Now this is, in my opinion, yet another amazing list of nominees. Every single one of these is so informative and has so much to say and has a lot of emotional impact as well. And I understand that documentaries aren't very popular amongst a lot of people in this day and age because they do never come off as fun or entertaining and whatnot, and I get that. However, the documentaries that the Academy nominates usually are always worth checking out. And I think that if you really take the time to kind of surprise yourself with these documentaries, you'll really find a lot to enjoy. So in terms of who I think should have won the Oscar, at 5th place, I'm going to put What Happened, Miss Simone. What Happened, Miss Simone is a better biopic than so many narrative biopics. Like, this is what they aspire to be, but end up not being. And what makes this documentary work is that it works on multiple levels. It is a tribute to Nina Simone and her combination of jazz and classical music. I walked into this documentary not really being a fan of Nina Simone at all, and now I completely respect her and what she brought to jazz and music in general. It's really cool to see how her music played such an instrumental part in the civil rights movement, and she kind of turned her music's direction towards the political, and that really helped get the word out. But most of all, this documentary really is a tribute to this woman who was misunderstood by everybody, and she herself didn't understand herself until like later on in her life when she realized she had a mental illness. And it's just such a heartbreaking thing to watch because by then it was too little too late. It's a really great documentary. Now at number 4, I am putting Cartel Land, and the best way I can describe Cartel Land is that it's pretty much real life Sicario. It's about the Mexican drug cartels, it's about the war on drugs over there. And watching this movie feels as intense at times as watching Sicario. There's a lot of violent imagery here, and the experience of watching like this footage, it feels like you've been caught trespassing and you're being chased by the owner of wherever you trespassed. It's like you're not supposed to be seeing this footage. Thankfully, the movie is great to look at. There's some really beautiful cinematography in this movie, but what really makes Cartel Land exceptional is the fact that it's so morally complex. You get to meet all these different figures in the war against drugs, but the way they kind of change and how certain alliances form, like, it's genuinely shocking. It's like they're like plot twists that are more shocking than like some narrative plot twists. At number 3, I'm going to put Winter on Fire, Ukraine's Fight for Freedom. I know some people don't really like this documentary because they think that its perspective is too narrow, and I understand that, but I think that if you watch this documentary knowing that it does not aim to give a full account of what happened and what is still happening in Ukraine, you'll really enjoy it, I think, because the window of time that it captures will get you very, very angry, and that's like the main point of this documentary. There's scenes here that are like Cartel Land, filled with violence and terror, but there are also moments of real humanity that will give you a lot of hope. And this documentary is very similar to another Oscar-nominated documentary called The Square, but what makes this slightly different from The Square is just that it's delivered at such a sheer, at this real quick pace. And in a manner of speaking, I guess you could say Winter and Fire is more like a thriller compared to how The Square is more of a drama, in my opinion. Now, at number 2, I am going to put Amy. And similar to What Happened, Miss Simone, Amy is a music documentary that works on multiple levels. First of all, of course, as a music doc, it does make you appreciate Amy Winehouse's music even more and makes you understand why some of her lyrics are, written the way they are. And similar to Nina Simone, I walked into this movie not being a fan of Amy Winehouse really, but now I really love her voice and I respect her music a lot. But what makes this significantly better than What Happened, Miss Simone, in my opinion, is that it's so personal. It makes you feel like you're best friends with Amy Winehouse, and so it's so heartbreaking to see what happens to her. Because ultimately what Amy is that it's an outcry against modern celebrity culture, all this paparazzi and news coverage and people treating you like a product that it kind of blocks these celebrities from getting real, genuine help and friendship when they need it. And Amy Winehouse was someone who also had a mental illness like Nina Simone, and she was reaching out for help, but she kept getting turned down, and it's really tough to watch. And but on the level of it being a documentary, it is very well made. Some really great editing here that really focuses up the storytelling. Finally, at number 1, I am going to put The Look of Silence. I think this one absolutely deserved to win Best Documentary, and not only is it one of the best documentaries ever made in my opinion, I think it's one of the best movies I've ever seen, like hands down. It is so jaw-droppingly beautiful and just unbelievable in its premise, because this is a continuation of Joshua Oppenheimer's previous documentary, The Act of Killing, which is about the Indonesian mass killings that happened in the 60s, and the effects of those killings are still felt today in Indonesia. And here you have an eye doctor going to the houses of these generals who were complicit in the mass murders, and he's going to the houses to tell them that they killed his brother. And it's really like a frightening concept, but they really pull it off. It becomes this disgusting examination of inhumanity, but it's just so stunning as well in its silences, like the way it fills these silences with so much meaning. And like there's just so much to say about this documentary that I don't really have the words for, but it really hit me because it's just so relevant. Like I see the exact same thing happening in the Philippines, honestly. There's historical revisionism going on, these politicians who keep making excuses for the fact that people died, when in reality you cannot make excuses when a human life is taken. It's just infuriating and illuminating, and I hope more people, especially Filipinos, get to see it. And as for my official prediction as to who I thought was going to win the Oscar, I went with Amy, and the Academy also gave it to Amy. And predicting this is a simple matter because it's kind of like deja vu. In 2014, Joshua Oppenheimer, his previous documentary, The Act of Killing, was also nominated, but it lost to another music documentary called 20 Feet from Stardom. And it's a great documentary, but you have to understand that the Academy likes documentaries about the entertainment industry. They don't really weigh like the importance of the subject matter. So while I understand their voting process, like it's just baffling to me that they would give this award to to music documentaries instead of documentaries about genocide. So it's just weird. Alright, so those are my thoughts on the Best Documentary Feature category. What do you guys think of this category? What do you think of the nominees? Who do you think should have won? Who do you think was going to win? Whatever you guys thought, whether you agree with me or not, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.